ready for it.
Thrilled for it.
Presenting Franks with Turbo Booster Jet Engine.
Nexa.
That's not a victory, that is a statement. Punjab Kings, inspired by Inglis, powered by Priyan, and then sealed with a 6 by skipper Shreyas, have punched their way through to the top 2. They guarantee themselves 2 shots at an IPL final for the first time in more than a decade. They chase down 185 against Mumbai Indians with 9 balls to spare and consign MI to the eliminator now. What a big result in the scheme of this tournament. We unpack that game from Jaipur on Nexa presents ESPN Cricket Info Timeout in the company of Tom Moody, Wasim Jaffer, Dustin Silgardo. Gentlemen, the couch, the majority was with Mumbai, but Punjab and those 2 batters had some other plans. Just what batting, Tom?
You can't argue, can you? Can't argue. That was a very convincing win. And again, another uncapped player at the top of the order. You know, Priyan's just playing so beautifully well. He just looks so calm at the crease. One thing that really stands out for me is how still he is, and he just seems to have a little bit more time than the average player. But that was a terrific knot. Obviously, Inglis dovetailed in nicely with that innings and created his own pressure with, you know, a few unique shots, you know, reverse sweeps and you know, he played Bumrah like it was just another day where we've seen Bumrah, you know, really intimidate other oppositions. But yeah, that was a really impressive win by Punjab.
Yeah, 2 knocks of substance and significance, Wasim. But let's tuck into Priyansh first. 23-year-old, showing maturity beyond his years. And to think this is a young man who's hit a 39-ball 100, but perhaps this is the knock which he can be even more proud of.
Yeah, and especially when they needed this win so badly just to get into the top 2. And he showed a lot of maturity after coming from 2 or 3 really low scores. And then we did talk about that, you know, sometimes it goes really hard very early in the innings, but I took his time, he played some cricketing shots. And what I like is, you know, he hits it to the areas which is very difficult to, you know, place the field, you know, over cover, over mid-wicket. And doesn't look like he's taking a lot of risk. So he's got very matured head on his shoulders and good signs. You know, it's a very convincing win against a very strong Mumbai Indians side.
Yeah, and he didn't force it, even though his opening partner was struggling at the other end. You know, there was a maiden over in the second over. It was 18 after 3 overs. So easy at that time for somebody like Priyan Arya to get over ego, you know, try to hit the ball too hard. But he was actually just kind of, you know, letting the ball come to him, looking to just hit through the line of the ball rather than really force shots. And despite Prabh Simran having a little bit of a difficult start, he got them off to a pretty quick score. And I think by the end of the 4th over, they were already up, you know, or ahead of the required rate. So really impressive from him.
Yeah. When you speak of playing the situation, playing the bowler, he was measured against Bumrah and still managed to take down a lot of other bowlers of international repute.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I was just jotting down there was that he hit 9 fours and 2 sixes. So that's what, it's 48 runs in boundaries out of his 62. So that's 11 balls he's hit with boundaries, and then he's faced a total of 35. So he's clearly had his mind set on, you know, making sure that, you know, he was cautious against the threats, as you mentioned, Bumrah, but he was also prepared to expand his game and take the boundaries on, because he is such a wonderful boundary hitter, and he seems to do it effortlessly.
Yeah. What great signs.
Sorry?
Great signs.
It is. And you know, somebody who's playing first season of IPL, you know, shows a lot of promise, and not easy for an uncapped players playing against Bumrah, Trent Bolt, and you know, international bowlers, and he did that, got 100 against CSK as well. So, you know, he's one for the future. And we talked about Josh Inglis as well. You know, he's somebody who makes life easier for the guy. Not that Priyan Arya doesn't score quickly, but, you know, when those 2 guys are there, bowling is so difficult. And, you know, we did talk that he's somebody like Phil Salt. He takes the game away, hits to the different parts, like Tom said, you know, those reverse scoops and all that, you know, makes bowling look so difficult and, you know, pretty enjoyable for Punjab camp, to be honest.
Yeah. Did the pitch ease up a little bit, Tom? Not to take anything away from those 2 excellent innings, but we did see, you know, it looked like during MI's innings, they maybe didn't get their bowling plans right. But looking at some of the numbers from Hawkeye, they actually bowled roughly the same number of slower balls as a Punjab seamers. It's just that those slower balls ended up going for more runs. I think in the first innings, they were going at about a strike rate of 114. In the second innings, slow balls going at 130. That could also be, of course, where the slower balls landed and how they were bowled. But was the pitch a little easier second innings?
Well, observation was early on, the slower balls were effective because Deepak Chahar bowled a high percentage of, I reckon 90% of his deliveries were slow balls, and they were effective. You know, they were quite difficult to get away. So he was a bit of a handful early on, but it seemed as the game unfolded, whether that was the momentum that Punjab had with the bat or the fact that the ball just came onto the bat a little bit easier. It just seemed that stroke play was a little bit easier in that second innings than it was in the first innings. And again, we don't want to take the victory away from Punjab because, you know, they were dominant today.
Yeah. Go on, Wasim.
I think they got, that decision at the toss also right, considering, it did look like the pitch got slightly better, compared to the first innings. Because obviously with those slow balls, even though Ashwini, Bumrah and all those guys bowled slow balls, but with Josh Inglis, he's not hitting them straight back at the bowler. He was hitting, at the reverse side, in the back way. So I think the pitch got it right, and, they didn't go with the trend that, we're going to bat first and, change the tactics, and it worked really nice for them.
And all the more appreciable given that this is the one side which has been the most prone to batting first. They've enjoyed batting first and also enjoyed a lot of success doing it.
And it would be good for their confidence, knowing that they can win confidently chasing. Yes, their preference might be batting first, but after today, they can tuck themselves up into bed tonight thinking, right, okay, it doesn't matter what we do, come the finals, we've got everything sorted.
Yeah, let's go into that second match winner. Priyan Arya, Josh Inglis, both of them have played a hand here. Josh Inglis, 73 of 42. And let's start, Wasim, by highlighting what stood out.
Well, I think that's how easily they hit boundaries, for both the batters. I think, they didn't let the pressure come at all, apart from Bumrah. Obviously, he was expected to bowl well. They played him out, even though Josh Inglis even took him on. But I think other than that, no bowler, even Santner, spin bowling, we expected that it's not going to be easy because it was coming on nicely. But there was, not at any stage it looked like, Mumbai were in the game.
I think actually the way Inglis took down Santner was a pretty key moment in the game because, Santner is the kind of bowler who can, even on this kind of track, change a game. And Inglis did, I think he did have a few fall strokes of the first couple of balls he faced off Santner, but then he decided to go deep in the crease, didn't he, Tom? And then look to play that pull shot. He got a couple of boundaries with that. And then Emma actually took Santner off after over 9 and brought the seamers back on. And it seemed like actually that was kind of what Inglis and Arya wanted. I mean, of course, when Santner came back on, he ended up getting the wicket. But because Inglis had taken him, I think, for 23 in the first 2 overs of Santner, they took him off after that.
Yeah, no, it's a good observation because I think the real positive around Inglis's innings was the fact that he took on Mumbai's threats. I know Bumrah only went for 23, but Inglis probably got most of those runs. But he did it with authority, where more often than not when Bumrah's bowling, it's a real scramble for everyone to try to pinch and steal every single run as possible. And you might get the odd outside edge for 4 or something. But Inglis seemed to do it with a real authority, and he did the same, as you say, with Santner. And what he was doing with Santner was he was sitting back for that slower one that he bowls, where a lot of batters come forward to it and the ball never arrives, so therefore he's beaten that player, whether it's, past him, stumped or whatever the case may be. But, Inglis also being a keeper, I think it helps playing spin, because they're standing behind the stumps all the time. They can read the pace a lot better than just the average batter because they do it, day in, day out behind the stumps.
Just on Inglis against Bumrah, I think Bumrah's second and third over, Inglis took an early boundary. And then that makes it easier because then you can take ones and twos or you can even have dot balls of the rest of the over, but 5 or 6 of a Bumrah over is enough in the context of the game.
Yeah, 14 of 12 of Bumrah, 3 of which were boundaries. So that's pretty much how he was playing out every Bumrah over. Quite an inspired move, Wasim, moving Josh Inglis to number 3. That's Josh Inglis to number 3. That's 3 innings now either side of the league suspension, 30 of 14, 32 of 12, and now this today.
Yeah, I always liked it. We did talk that he's somebody who should be either opening or at most batting at number 3. I didn't like him batting at 4. because he wants space. He wants ball coming onto the bat. So number 3 is the ideal position. Even at you could have easily today, wicket fell at number 4th over or something. You could have easily gone Shreyas Iyer, but that was a good move to send him and make use of the power play. And player like him can demoralize the attack, and especially against the top quality bowlers like Tom mentioned Bumrah, Santner. Once he gets on top of them, it just demoralizes the attack.
Yeah, and the captain choosing to do this while having a 400 plus run season himself. Not often we see that.
Yeah, again, you need to put team in front of the personal things. So I think that again shows the quality of Shreyas Iyer as a captain.
But just how impressive and remarkable now the last 5 or 6 months have been for Josh Inglis across formats. 100 on Test debut, scored a sparkling century in the chase against England in the Champions Trophy, first IPL season, and he's looked the part.
Yeah, look, he's always been highly regarded in Australia. It's just a case of, how can you fit him into the various sides that Australia have got? And he's been patient, and he's bashed the door down for a long time, and now he's starting to bear the fruits of his hard work and consistent form. But, certainly no surprise to me or to most people that sort of have cast an eye over Josh Inglis over the past 5 years, because his career's just continue to go that way. And the exciting thing from whether it be Punjab or whether it be Australia or whoever it is that he plays for is that he's a very good keeper as well. And if you don't want to use him as keeper, he's a very good fielder.
Yeah. I mean, Punjab would love to have him for the playoffs. I don't know what his status will be in terms of travelling for the WTC
final. It appears as though, it's not confirmed, but it appears as if he's staying back. Inglis and Hazelwood are the only WTC-bound Australian players still in the competition.
Yeah.
No confirmation there, but yes, Punjab, on the back of this, on the back of what he's been doing since he moved to number 3, are obviously hoping that the number 3 stays as they enter the playoffs. Big part of this game is now how Punjab did in the first innings, and I think Hardik Pandya's comments post-match can lead us into it. He said, the way the wicket played, we were 20 runs short. It happens, we've been playing good cricket, but not tonight. This is a small blip, it's still fresh. Don't think there was much difference in the pitch between the innings. Our bowling wasn't clinical, they played good shots as well. So Hardik Pandya seems to think that the surface did not change.
Well, if you review Mumbai's innings, I suppose one area that they will look back and think, well, we didn't really capitalise was in the power play. Rickerton 27 off 20 and Rohit was 24 off 21. So both of those returns aren't great, particularly if you're feeling at this point that you're 15, 20 runs light of what you need to be, because that's where the runs are missing.
And MI have had the last couple of games where they batted on a much trickier Wankhede surface, where I think it was a total of 155 against Gujarat and a total that became 180 against Delhi only after some sensational efforts in the last 2 overs. Could that have almost put them in a place where maybe your assessing of the score at the start of an innings is not the same as what it was earlier in the season?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, like Tom said, Rohit didn't get going at the start. It's only the Harpreet Brar over actually, which we felt, probably Brar shouldn't have bowled at that situation because the pace bowlers were bowling so well. It just gave him a kickstart. But yeah, when you are expected, every game that happened in Jaipur is 200 plus. So that was a slow start from there on. And then if Surya doesn't score runs, then it's a bit difficult. And Hardik also has struggled with the bat. So there's lot to be dependent on Surya and probably Naman as well.
Yeah, I think looking back, there was also just a great 18th and 20th over bowled. I mean, the 18th over went for what? 5 runs from Jansen, 20th, 3 from Arshdeep. Yeah. So those are 2 overs that usually you'd get at least 10, 12 of the 18th and 20th. So that's another, 15 runs that Punjab, I would say, have saved there rather than MI not attempting. I mean, they were trying to hit those overs, but they just couldn't get going against good bowling.
Yeah, I think you could possibly add even Jamison's last over, which I think went for just 5 or 6.
Yeah, I think that's the one I was talking about.
Right.
The 18th.
In the 18th.
The 19th went for a few.
Yes. So how much of the credit now goes to what Punjab managed to do in the first half and just everything that bowlers got right?
Yeah, you've got to give them credit from the top of the game right through to the back end of the game. The other thing just going back to the Mumbai openers, is that ideally in this situation, you want, if you both openers get off to a start, you need one of them to kick on. And I think that was also an issue because with both of them getting out, you know, in the 20s for just a tick over a run of ball, it then leaves a big hole of work that's undone because you get a Rickleton or a Rohit Sharma facing another 20 balls on top of that and suddenly have a strike rate for the second 20 of balls they face of 200, they catch up for, you know, their slow start. But they never had that opportunity to catch up, which cost them.
And now the batting questions for MI obviously take a different turn because Ryan Rickleton and Will Jacks, and Will Jacks is the other part of this innings. He moved to number 5, which is not something we've seen too often this season.
Yeah, they went with Sky at number 3, Tilak at number 4. I'm guessing maybe thinking about the playoffs already. You know, Tom discussed that pre-game saying you shouldn't do that, just think about this game. But, I mean, the entry point was what, just after the power play? So I'm pretty sure that in a normal situation, they would have gone with Jacks. I think it was probably with the playoffs in mind that they changed that order.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I reckon they probably feel that Sky's better off coming in at that point after power play when spin's going to come into the game. You know, Jacks is, you know, a destructive player. He's more suited and has spent 95% of his career as an opener. So they probably both padded up and probably thought outside of power play, Sky, you go. And he's the one that's running hot. He's the hot property. Yeah. You know, so get him in, get him facing as many balls. That was the right decision. Yeah, it's going to be a natural transition now with Will Jacks going, where Hasalanka will probably just slot into that middle order position. Yeah.
Just want to probe you on Surya there, because what we've now seen in the last 2 games, whether it is a function of batting in tougher conditions or a lot of the batters around him not being in the best of nicks, Surya's batting himself through an innings as opposed to leaving his sprint and going explosive. Is that forced by the situation around him? Is that a healthy situation for MI as an overall batting unit?
Well, I don't think he got the strike at the back end of the innings as much as what, you know, he'd ideally like. But then at the back end of the innings, you've got Hardik who did a pretty good job. You know, he struck at just over 170, and Namandia came in for a little cameo of 20 off 12. So I don't think he had the volume of balls at the back end to really play that catch-up, because as we've seen so many times in previous years and this season alone, is that suddenly, you know, in the last 3 overs, Surya has a breakout over of 20. You know, 6-6, 4-4, and it's suddenly, oh, wow, okay, Mumbai at 200. That didn't quite happen for him.
Yeah, but just coming back to the point Tom made about, you know, that power play not being fast enough, do you think that also maybe Wasim made Surya and the rest of the middle order think, okay, this is actually a 180, 185 pitch? Because if you've got Rohit and Rickleton not, you know, scoring more than 120, maybe that also affects the mindset of the batters coming in, where they think that, okay, maybe this pitch, there's something in it, you know, 185, 190, instead of go hard and try to get 210, 220?
Probably. I think when Surya finds a pitch to his liking, you know, he goes in ultra-aggressive mode. We've seen that he attacks the spin. But today, you know, Punjab didn't give them a lot of spin. It's only one, Harpreet Brar. And he also bowled probably 2 overs before Surya came in. So there was a lot of pace and they bowled actually well. So, you know, a lot of credit needs to be given to Punjab bowlers and as well as, you know, Surya has played on last couple of games on a tricky pitch, you know, and that Mumbai pitch as well. It wasn't easy. Even today, batting first, you don't know what's a good score, even though 200 looked like, you know, was like a par. But, you know, he has to score most of the runs. So his wicket is, he also knows that, you know, it's such an important wicket for MI.
Yeah. The one thing they're definitely hoping for now is that whatever surfaces we see at Mullanpur, and Mullanpur's been out of play, Mullanpur is the venue for the first 2 of the playoffs, qualifier 1 and eliminator. They're hoping it's not the one that Punjab defended 111, because that would be tricky, but they have questions to ask of themselves. Ryan Rickleton, who's been such a key component of what has worked for them at the top of the order, he won't be there. Will Jacks won't be there. What are you thinking from a MI batting perspective going into these playoffs, Tom?
You know, to be honest with you, I don't mind the fact that they've got some fresh players coming in, because it's probably what they need. In a funny sort of way, just it's a way of sort of putting to bed what's happened tonight and just moving on quickly. And they've got two very good replacements. It's not like they're sort of at odds to whether to play them or not play them. Bairstow's there. He's an IPL proven player. He's come in with this opportunity in some very good form for Yorkshire. Asalanka's been a good player for Sri Lanka for some time now. He's going to be very handy in that middle order. A good player of spin, can also offer an over of spin or two. So I don't think for Mumbai it changes their dynamic much at all. I think if anything they look just as good as they did when they started tonight.
Yeah, I think Asalanka was in the ICC ODI team of the year last year.
Yeah.
He's been in really good ODI form at least over the last year, 18 months. So that's one of the reasons why he's a replacement.
How do you see MI going about things, Wasim? A lot of onus on someone like Tilak Verma, who's had a quiet recent phase of the IPL?
Yeah, I think the Indian players need to step up. You can't expect too much, even though Bairstow, he's not had a very outstanding IPL in last few seasons, and he's coming from a red ball cricket in seam and swinging conditions in Yorkshire in April and May. So he hasn't played much white ball cricket recently, so it could go either way. It's a twin-edged sword. But I think like Rohit, Surya again, Tilak and Namandi, those are the guys, they need to step up in the coming games.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to tuck into some of the questions that are coming in, and there's lots pouring in. Among the interesting ones, I saw something around MI similar to GT, struggling a bit with their fourth pacer, and the question of whether they'd be better served just playing Karan Sharma as opposed to whoever they choose in that last domestic bowling slot.
I think it depends on conditions, to be honest with you. Karan Sharma's a very experienced IPL player, and he's a bit of a lucky charm, isn't he? Wherever he goes, he seems to find a trophy. But I think that'll be conditions dependent. But Vaishak, I don't think really. I felt he should have probably not Vaishak. What am I saying?
Yeah.
Ashwin.
Yeah. He should have actually got his opportunity to bowl before Pandya. Yeah, I felt, because suddenly Hardik deciding today's the day he's going to jump the queue. In a way it sort of puts the younger bowler in the background, and I'd rather sort of see him be pushed up the front, get your opportunity.
Yeah, just since Tom's brought up Hardik's bowling, how did you feel Hardik bowled today? Because as Tom said, he gave himself that opportunity to bowl early. We said that this might be a pitch that favours him. He actually ended up bowling quite a bit of pace on, not as much pace off as you would expect, went full quite a bit. What did you make of the way he bowled in his 2 overs today?
Well, I think first of all, he bowled that short delivery and that went for 6. So I thought that execution or that delivery with Inglis, is batting so well. To bowl that kind of delivery without the third man, I thought, what's going on there. So he was probably trying, bluff the batter. But that's what he does. I feel, talking about Karan Sharma, I always like a leg spinner or the second spin option, in my opinion. When you've got Hardik who's bowling so well, and you've got your 3 seamers, there's 4 seamers already. I don't think you need a 5th seamer, in my opinion. So Karan Sharma needs to be, played in the coming games.
Seeing a lot of questions around Tilak Verma and how he's been underwhelming and how much of a job he needs to do. We've just addressed that a little earlier. Dustin, I'll give you an early warning. Cristiano Ronaldo appears to be coming for you.
I know exactly who that is now.
Oh, you do? I will hold that thought. That will be an interesting note for this show. This has been a mystery that we've been trying to unravel for a while. Tom, something from Devang Sharma, which you are best placed to answer. There's something about Australian management. They bring players at the international stage at the perfect time. Josh Inglis is a great example. He's become a more complete player. We did see a bit of this at the ODI World Cup as well, where Inglis didn't really start the tournament, but then he became the keeper of choice. Do you have any more light to shed on this?
I think no more than what I've already said about Inglis is that he's sort of been knocking on the door for a few years now in all formats of the game. He was sort of first considered as, a wicket-keeper primarily that batted, and now he's sort of considered as a batsman that keeps. His keeping hasn't diminished at all. He's still, a very efficient gloveman, but, his batting is just, stocks have just grown and grown. And what I like about Inglis is he seems to be able to take on the game regardless of what the scoreboard tells you. You could be 3 down and you watch him bat and you wouldn't think so. He just seems to have this real confidence in what he does. He's very clear with his shot selection. There's no confusion what he does. He's very precise. He's more than happy to reverse sweep, reverse scoop, get down and flick one over the top. So he creates pressure on the opposition very quickly. He doesn't sit in the game for very long.
This is interesting from Vijender Nalla. Why don't you take this, Wasim? Priyan Arya feels like a left-handed Sehwag. Do you feel that way?
That's a big, comparison. We still got a long way to go to.
I think more in terms of batting style.
Yeah, I think he's slightly like that because he doesn't move his legs too much. But I think he's very stable in the crease, and his choice of shots. We didn't see Viru pull the ball or maybe hook the ball as much. He was more of an offside player. But Priyansh is a more both sides of the kind of a player. So, long way to go, but I like what I see from Priyansh.
And also, I didn't see Priyansh singing while he was batting. So.
Well, one thing I did note was, without taking anything away from Priyansh's innings, because again, it was another, splendid knock, I thought Mumbai bowled really poorly to him. He clearly has a strength, sort of wide of off stump, sort of that 4th, 5th, 6th off stump, where he can free his hands and he can hit the ball from really over mid-off right through to backward point from that line. And there was a number of balls that he received on that line. I think that probably reflects why he's hit the 9 4s and 2 6s, because he had the freedom to do it.
All right. Lawrence John, will Mulanpur give a slight advantage to Punjab as they play qualifier 1 there, or will that not be any advantage?
Well, they don't have a very, terrific record of home conditions.
They changed that this season.
They have won a few, but yeah, they'll be hoping that trend continues at least this season.
What is their advantage, though?
Lawrence John?
If they had a choice of pitch, what would they go for?
I think maybe a good batting. Actually, it's tough because a good batting track favors their batters for sure. But then the bowling, you think they want something similar to this, where the ball's just stopping a little bit?
Yeah, that's my point. I don't think there's a particular surface that absolutely, would suit them. I think they just need a decent, fair surface.
Yeah.
The Aussie team is running big on this. Ujjwal, question to Moody. What do Aussies eat to be so good in crunch situations?
Dear, I don't know. I think, to be honest with you, I think a lot of Australians have been very fortunate that have been around the Australian team for a period of time to experience success. I think once you've experienced it, whether it be World Cups or ICC events or whatever, your drive for that is greater, but you also have travelled that journey. You know how to get there. And I think that's an advantage for a lot of Australian players that have had that experience, that they've been on that journey, where there's a lot of players that have never been on a World Cup campaign and won a World Cup, or an ICC event and won an ICC, event, whatever it may be.
All right. Lots of comments pouring in around Shreyas Iyer and Ricky Ponting and Punjab. Lots of happiness around Punjab Kings, making it not just to the playoffs, but making it as top 2, which, Dustin, is so important in this season, where it feels like so many teams will have plans changing in the playoffs. So
Yeah. I mean, we discussed that, before the game, that for the way Punjab play, it's really important there in qualifier 1. I think they can be such a dangerous side now in qualifier 1 because they just go in there. The batters play with complete freedom. The bowlers also, I feel like it'll give them the opportunity to be aggressive and not think just defensively. So I think for a side like them with so many uncapped players, it's actually really crucial.
there's no overstating the importance of a top 2 finish in this league, as the history points out. MI know they've finished 3rd and 4th 4 times since the playoff structure, never made it to the final. Do you feel the importance is even raised in a season like this one with its stops and starts and changes?
Look, I think this win tonight, let me put it this way, it's not really answering your question, but I think this win tonight is really important for Punjab, more to do with the fact that they're one of the sides that are leading the pack throughout the whole tournament. They've maintained some confidence by winning an important game right on the verge of finals, where all the other teams that they're playing against in those finals have had a stumble since the break, and they haven't yet regathered themselves. So they not only got the advantage of being in the top 2, but they've got the advantage of the fact that they're going in there feeling good about their game, where the others are still feeling a bit uncertain about, do we fix this? Do we move this player here? Do we bring this player in? Whatever the case may be.
I'll take one last one. How much of the Punjab revival can be attributed to the change in personnel versus the change in leadership?
A lot of it. I've said this many times that Punjab always needed a good captain, and Shreyash has done that and shown the result. And Ponting and him actually, with the kind of auction they had, the players they went to, and Shreyash himself, takes a lot of credit for how he has led and how he has batted as well with such a heavy price tag. We've seen a lot of players stumble with those kind of price tags. So Shreyash has to be given a lot of credit for it.
It's also the change in dynamic, right? Where they've given the coach a long-term contract, spent big money on the captain, really invested that faith in them, whereas there has been a lot of chopping and changing of coaches at Punjab before, hasn't there?
Yeah, they've had long-term contracts before, but they haven't really ended up being that long.
Well, let's take you through what Shreyas Iyer had to say after this win. Every individual stepped up at the right time. We've had players putting their hands up when we were in the dumps. Ricky has been fantastic with player management. It's important for me to get trust too. That was easier with wins. Had conversations with them. I feel the dressing room has been top-notch. Around playing 6 uncapped players, the way Priyansh started was fabulous. Young players are fearless. They tick the boxes in the next session. The prep in the nets is now showing on the field. Inglis is the only player whose position has been chopping and changing, but he's been a big match player. The camaraderie has been there for the past few years between Ricky and I. He gives me a lot of freedom. That too is such an important component. This is a partnership that has enjoyed its success with another franchise which did not have a lot of playoff seasons in Delhi.
Yeah, it does make a lot of difference. I've been there, Tom has been there. A coach-captainship relationship matters so much, and having the faith of the owners also. What kind of players you need to buy in the auction. I think they've got most things right from the auction up until now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They deserve to be where they are. They've got a good unit, well led both on and off the field. So exciting times for Punjab going into finals.
All right. And it only gets more exciting now. We're hoping to go where they've never gone before. Dustin, any thoughts?
No, I mean, I think we've covered it's just a great win for them to end the league campaign on. And yeah, I'm feeling positive about their chances for the final somehow.
And to the point you made earlier, what's going to be really curious is that I think if you go by average positions, Punjab, a lot of times because of fewer games played, were third, GT and RCB maintaining the top 2. Punjab always in the points range. Here is the irony. One of GT or RCB will finish below them. And to the point, Punjab get that extra bite, whereas GT, RCB with these losses. And goodness, RCB are hoping that the trend has been bucked because it had been 5 games where the team ranked lower in the points table had been winning. Punjab have changed that. RCB will look to change that. When they take on Lucknow Super Giants, that game decides the fate of RCB and GT to decide who makes qualifier 1 and plays Punjab Kings there. Right, let's tuck into the rapid fire review of this contest. All of you know the drill. Wasim, let me start with you. What was the most impressive aspect of the Josh Inglis show tonight?
Well, I think just his fearlessness. He comes out and plays with very clear head, and then takes on the best of bowlers. And if it comes off, it takes so much pressure off, not just on the guy at the other end, but even in the dugout.
Tom, 39 ball 100 earlier on, but is this the knock Priyan Arya can be most proud of?
Yeah, look, both are outstanding. This season he can be very proud of, but yeah, this was a pretty significant knock against the opponent, an international quality opponent. The context of the outcome of the game was significant, and he just looked again like it was just another game of cricket. You just look at his body language out there. He looked very much in control of what was going on, stuck to his game plan and played beautifully.
Dustin, why were Mumbai's pacers unable to limit the runs the way Punjab's quicks did?
I think a couple of them didn't bowl enough slower balls, but the ones that did, I think it was just also very good batting, whereas Wasim said they used the behind-the-wicket shots to actually get even the slower balls away for runs.
All right, Wasim, you take this one. Arshdeep, Janssen, Inglis, Arya, your player of the match tonight.
Josh Inglis.
Which is also the official player of the match tonight. Tom, to you, no Rickleton, no Jacks, and now no room for error. How do Mumbai approach the eliminator?
I think they'll shake this one off pretty quickly. Well, they don't have a choice, but as I've said previously, I think they've recruited very well with regards to replacements, and I think they'll come into that playing 11 seamlessly.
All right, final question to all of you. Top of the table, 2 cracks at the final. Is this the year for Punjab? Dustin?
Well, I've already said I think they're going to make the final. What happens in the final, nobody knows. But I think Punjab for the finals, yes.
Wasim?
Yeah, they've been my one of my favorite teams. So yeah, why not?
Tom?
Yeah, I think they'll play the final. Who wins it? You can ask me on the morning of the final.
Probably the day before when we're setting up the final. I will ask you then. Any team Punjab would prefer, the way you look at Punjab's squad and the 3 others with their absentees? What are you thinking in the Punjab camp right now? Or are you not thinking about that at all?
Well, I wanted one of the RCB or Punjab to win it. So why not have a final of them too?
First time champion
Yeah,
guaranteed.
it
if
would
that
be unique if we had that.
Yeah.
Having both those teams have been close, but no cigar, as they say.
Dustin, Punjab RCB would be a final that sets social media alight.
Yeah, sure. I think, well, I mean, they've just beaten Mumbai quite comprehensively, so they may not mind facing them again in the final.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Punjab Kings are on top. They are through. They have the top 2 sealed. Dustin, Wasim, Tom, thank you so much. Wasim, so great to have you to celebrate such an iconic result for Punjab Kings.
Thank
they
you.
get 2 bites at the final. I'm sure you'll be rooting. And yeah, there are many more hoping for a Punjab RCB final to give us a first-time champion. Gentlemen, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having your company. That does it from us. Punjab Kings will get 2 shots at the final. Mumbai Indians in the eliminator. Still a lot to be decided. Game number 70 on Tuesday. Lucknow Super Giants versus RCB. RCB win that, they make qualifier 1. RCB don't, GT make qualifier 1. Be sure to join us just before toss time on Nexa Presents ESPN Cricket Info Timeout. Thank you for watching. Good night.
Ready for it.
Thrilled for it.
Presenting Franks with Turbo Booster Jet Engine.
Nexa.